What is up, YouTube? It's Young Blessed here, and I am making my first official YouTube video. And I have decided to make it about my testimony about coming back to Christ. So, I was raised in the church since I was a boy, and you know, I would just go to church honestly just because of my parents. Didn't think much of it. They would always just tell me, there's a God and his name is Jesus and all that, And, I would just not look too much into it because, I was going to school and go to church on Sundays, you know. But, when you're young, you're just not really focused on, all that. You just focused on video games, school and other stuff, you have friends. Um, and yeah, I mean, I'd say when I got to about middle school, that's when I really started to fade away from going to church and also like talking about God and even thinking about God at some point. Um, but he would always be in the back of my mind, But and then when I hit high school, that's when I believe I was finishing the church Catholic school. I got my confirmation and everything. And after that, I just pretty much stopped going to church completely. I would always get asked to go from family members to friends. And I would always just come up with an excuse to not go. Or I just didn't feel like going. Um, and then, finish high school, still just in the world, not really thinking about God. And then, you know, after high school, just started to work, do college part time at a community college. And then, still just not focused on, God, just focused on the world. And that's when, I started to party and experiment with different things. And, you know, I felt like I was pretty lost, in uh, my teen years for sure, and early adult years. Just focused on working and partying to see what the next move was. Um, Fast forward to 2023. Um, I moved from where I had been living for most of my life, um, in Fairfax County, if you guys are familiar with Virginia, to Manassas now in Virginia. And we had some family members, staying here for quite a bit, um, to help them out, because they just came from a different state. And I got my very first dog back in 2017. It was a Yorkie, and her name was Chloe. Um, and we've had her for almost, I'd say about 8 years, 8 to 9 years. Um, and basically, um, one day, um, the daughter of our family member, that was staying here, um, and it was just my grandma, the dog, and their little daughter, which she was about, I think maybe I'd say either 4 years old or 5 years old. And, none of my brothers were there. I wasn't there. This is just what I heard uh, from my grandma because she was there taking care of the little girl. And this little girl always had a habit of, trying to pick up the dog and, pet it and stuff. But, you know, Yorkies are really delicate, especially our Yorkie. She was pretty, pretty frail, pretty small, And what my grandma told us is that she picked up, Chloe and basically uh, dropped her. And on the way down, she must have either hit the ground hard or she hit the edge of a table because it happened in one of the rooms upstairs. And basically, that um, my grandma saw that she got injured, and then fast forward hours later, my older brother, which is like the main owner of the dog, um, finds her like just foaming out the mouth, hiding under the kitchen table, clearly in pain. And, you know, he was freaking out. He takes her to the emergency room. We find out that she has severe and injuries in that region. And she did not look good at all. She looked so out of it. She couldn't walk for like a good 2 weeks to a month. And every time we would try to like make her walk like slowly, she just couldn't stand anymore. And um she would always go in circles, and I just knew something was really wrong, and I knew something serious was going on here. And we were hoping that she would get better with time and the medicine. Um, but slowly she just was getting worse and worse day by day. And we were really angry with the family and the daughter. We were telling them that they should have been way more responsible. Like they one of their parents should have been there, to be honest, to watch her, because my grandma, she's really old. She's about 90 years old, and she can't always be there to watch the little girl. But you know anyways, once we told the parents what happened, they didn't want to take responsibility for it. And that made us very upset because if you guys are dog owners or pet owners in general, you guys know a pet is like a family member. So yes, had that big big problem with them regarding that. And we were just hoping our dog Chloe would get better. And um, we just saw her slowly getting worse and worse, and we knew she was gonna die soon. And one morning, my brother calls me at like 6 in the morning and tells me that she has passed away. She died with him on his bed. And I went running to his room to see her, and there she was, cold body, no heartbeat. I just I couldn't believe it. But I was there just crying, very upset. My brother was too, and then we told the rest of our family, and some of them came down to see, and we were all very upset. And my brother just took the next necessary steps to go get her cremated and everything, and you know, and we still have the ashes there in his room, and I set up a little memorial for the dog. And her official death date was February 2nd, 2024. And after that, we were just still upset with the family because we told them what happened and they didn't show enough sympathy as we thought they would show. And, I was so angry. I wanted, honestly, I would just wanted karma to hit them. And I was angry with them, even the little girl. And we wanted to get rid of them. We wanted to just kick them out, and they had to go find somewhere to live. And then, you know, trying to work the next 2 weeks to a month, just thinking about how my first ever dog passed away. Her life got cut short. It was just devastating to me, and trying to work like that, it just messed with my mental and physical health. And it just basically made me think about life, about death, about what's next after all this. And I was on YouTube watching videos on how to deal with the grieving, about people losing their pets and what helps. And then after that, I stumbled upon other people's testimonies of heaven and hell. People who have died and came back to life. Oh, excuse me there. Sorry about that. And people who have died and came back to life, and they would just talk about what they experienced. Some were good, some were bad experiences. Um, and it just made me think about church again. It made me think about God again. I'm like, okay, like, because at first I wanted to know if pets go to heaven. Will I see my beloved dog one day again? You know, and I'm very optimistic that dogs and pets do go to heaven, um, and that I will see my beloved dog one day again. And basically, I was just like, like these testimonies from these people are very interesting. They're very detailed, and I literally kept watching a lot of videos on testimonies day by day by day by day by day. And basically, the fear of God got to me when watching the hell testimonies of people describing that place, that it's real, that this is no joke, that don't die in your sin, that there's billions of people there. And I watched this one hell testimony on YouTube, and it honestly shook me to my core. It was very detailed, and out of all the hell testimonies I've seen, they almost all sound the same. They all explain the same details that they see, that they feel. And it's from different people around the world. Like, they cannot lie about these things. They're just too accurately detailed and very similar. So that put the fear in me, and that made me just run back to God, to Jesus. And I just kept watching YouTube videos about other people's experiences in their life. Some people have met Jesus in their in visions, in dreams, and even in the physical. Like they've appeared to them in their rooms, supernaturally. And I just kept running back to the Bible. I am in the process of trying to read the whole thing, and memorize everything that I can. But I would watch a lot of YouTube videos while driving, while at work, just about Bible verses, just so I can try to get um, some scriptures into my head. And yeah, I never knew that I would come back to Christ from my dog's death, but sometimes God's will is not something that you will expect all the time. And I feel like um, that was the plan for him to get me back on track to following Jesus. Um, and I've had crazy dreams, crazy visions ever since, you know, that day. And I've had a lot of attacks, spiritual attacks from demons. But that's going to be for another video because that's too much to get into right now. But I went through some crazy trials and tribulations, and um, I was reading some Bible verses here on death, right? On like the afterlife. Psalms 34:18. God is close in moments of grief. The Lord is close to the brokenhearted and saves those who are crushed in spirit. When death shakes you, he uses that brokenness to draw you back to himself. Another one is John 11:25-26. Jesus is hope beyond death. I am the resurrection and the life. The one who believes in me will live, even though they die. Jesus reminds us that in the face of death, he alone is the one who gives us real life. Another one, Psalms 90, verse 12. Death wakes us up spiritually. Teach us to number our days that we may gain a heart of wisdom. This verse shows how the reality of death brings us back to God, helping us take him seriously again. And that's what I felt. That's literally what I felt after my dog died and me watching those YouTube videos of people's testimonies. And it's just crazy how accurate that Bible verse is. Another one, James 4:14. Life is short, so draw near to God now. You are a mist that appears for a little while and then vanishes. Realizing how short life is pushes us to seek Jesus sincerely. Hebrews 9:27-28. Death reminds us of the need for Christ. People are destined to die once, and after that to face judgment. So Christ was sacrificed once to take away the sins of many. Death makes us remember why we need Jesus, because only he saves. Psalms 73:26. When everything else fades, Jesus is the strength you return to. My flesh and my heart may fail, but God is the strength of my heart and my portion forever. Even when life feels fragile, he remains the one constant. You know, life is truly short, and I've also lost a lot of close friends in these recent years that I would never expect to have lost. And I've gone to the funerals and viewings, and those moments as well keep making me think about, God, and seek God even more, you know. And I do have my Bible here with me as well. I'm trying to read all of it, from the Old Testament to the New Testament. And that's basically my testimony on how I came back to Jesus. And I just hope that if you don't believe in God, or if you're not sure what to believe in, I'd highly encourage you to, uh, you know, at least try to seek Jesus and read His Word. And what conclusion you come to, I think that you will find some good teachings of His, and a lot of um, things you can relate to in life from His powerful words in the Bible. But yeah, that's basically it, guys. I will be making more YouTube videos about my experiences that I have had, supernatural experiences. So tune in for those videos coming up. And yeah, thank you guys so much. Make sure to like, comment, and subscribe. It'll be highly appreciated. And yeah, drop any stories, testimonies, or experiences that you guys have gone through down in the comments. I would love to read them and relate to you guys. Thank you guys. Have a good one.